let me kind of start off by saying, talking about growth. And so this next slide shows our growth rate as determined by the census over the last 15 years. And if you look at it, you'll notice one thing. Obviously, it's no news to anybody here. We're growing. But the point I want to make is we're not growing at any faster rate than we were for 14 years ago. We grow at a pretty consistent rate of about 2.8% per year, which, at our current population of about 71,000, it's almost 2,000 residents per year. But that hasn't gone any faster recently. But the point I want to bring up, and Jamie had brought this up, is that why haven't we if we knew we were growing, why didn't we get all these things done in advance? And it has a lot to do with revenues. So that's our growth rate right there. That's our revenue over the same period of time. You'll notice it actually went down. And so the Great Recession hit us hard. It took us much longer than society in general to recover from it. And so when you look at those periods where you're kind of in somewhat of a structural deficit there, you make tough decisions there. You figure out how you're going to save money, how you're going to do things more efficiently. You then defer maintenance, which is what we were forced to do on the roads. And then we did things like, we even had to go so far as to really cut the level of services that we were offering. Because what the board wasn't going to do is they weren't going to raise millage rates in the middle of a recession. So tough decisions had to be made. But if you see here, as we get closer to 2019, next slide. It took us to about 2020 to get to where we were in 2009, revenue-wise, when you adjusted for inflation. And so we now have to use this revenue to really do a lot of the work that we did here, but we are getting it done and we are catching up. So if we put the population on there again, you'll see, I don't know what just happened. Can you keep going? Next one there. So if you put the population line there, versus revenue, you'll see they're kind of catching up now, which is good, which means we can actually get these projects done, get the roads paved, upgrade our parks, expand our parks for this population. And so this gap here is not really a concern because it's made up for other revenue sources. This is property tax. And now we can rely on T-SPLOST and SPLOST to help us get us across the finish line. So what we haven't been doing, if you go to the next slide, is raising millage as a result of this. And I love this slide. Now, this is the tax that the county controls, that the County Board of Commissioners control. This is not the school board. This is not the IDA. But this is the county M&O portion of your tax bill. If you compare us to where the other counties are around us, that's Effingham County down here. We're at 5.993. Closest one is Bryan County at about 6.5. And then Liberty County, they go up practically, they're the highest. They go up practically to 18 mils. So we want to keep the prices low, but keep the quality of the services that we provide high. And that's the goal that we're trying to achieve. And you'll actually see as these future slides, how that plays out. Next slide. And you all can't read this, I understand, but I want you to pay attention to one figure here. So, we're hearing a lot that, they're approving residential subdivisions all over the place. Well, this is the number of entitled or obligated residential units that have been approved by the board and yet to be built, right? So that number may seem like a lot, 3,068, but I can tell you that that number is the lowest it's been for the last 3 years. It's actually gone down. The county in the unincorporated area, we process about 650 permits for residents a year, and that stays pretty steady, right? Again, we're not growing out, at an outrageous rate. We're keeping at that level, and I think the key thing is, where's everybody else at? That number is about 4 times in Bryan County or Chatham. They have some very large subdivisions out there, mega developments out there. If Rainier's got one in Richmond Hill, and there's some larger ones, and the names don't occur to me, but in Chatham County as well. So they're probably about 12 to 15,000 obligated homes. Even Bullock County, the city of Statesboro alone has that many obligated homes as we have. Add the rest of Bullock County, you're probably about 7 or 8. And I'm sorry, about 6, I think, is our total. And so we're much lower than even Bullock County. And, when you go just across the river to South Carolina, they've seemed to lost all sense of reality on approving houses, and little old like Hardyville right across the bridge has approved 41,000 homes. And so my point being here is that I know there's a lot of growth, and I know we got to catch up with on infrastructure, but we're being very deliberate on what gets approved, and we're trying to keep that pace. If you go on the next slide, we're trying to keep that consistent pace going and not have any spikes and keep that 2.8% growth rate. Next slide. All right, I'm going to have to read these because I don't think you can see them. But this growth has not come without some challenges on our services, challenges which we are ready to address, and we will be addressing some of these in this year's budget. So in our 9/11 call volume, and this goes from 2021 to 2023, so over a 2-year period of time, it's jumped 65%. And so we'll be adding another person per shift to handle that volume this year, and which is 4 people. EMS call volume, it shows an increase of 3.32%. I think that's a little bit there's more to the story than that, in that in 2021, we were dealing with 2 Delta and Omicron spikes of COVID, and that really put a lot of pressure on our EMS system. So even though we didn't have those COVID spikes this year, our call volume for EMS is still slightly higher at 3.32%. And fire calls over that period of time are up about 19.4%. And again, we will be responding with additional personnel to meet that demand. That's on the public safety side. If you look on the recreation and activity side, you'll see a similar story. I'll read these out. So the spring baseball and softball, we are now, in this season we're into right now, at nearly 1,200 participants. Which is up 37% from 2 years ago. And so lacrosse, also spring, is up 16%, and track is up 26%. Volleyball, and this really is a result of building the new gymnasium at Clarence Morgan Park, is up 207%. And the same goes for pickleball. We don't have any pickleball courts outside right now, but we do use the gym for that. We get 200 participants per week. So you're seeing a lot of increase in our recreation, and I've got our recreation director here, Jeff Lannan, and he's doing a very good job keeping up with that. And then turning on to senior activities, this has really been a great to see. We were really concerned that our numbers would not recover from the COVID shutdown that we had for seniors. And so 2 years ago we were shut down. So this is a 1 year over year increase in participation is up 42% at our senior center. This number surprised me is that bingo at the senior center is up 75%. And then one other thing I think is interesting is we do get questions, well, what about activities other than sports? And I'd say it's great that we've got a great legislative delegation, and the school district and the state are partnering to build an arts facility on the campus right next to the Career Academy. And then in addition to that, they will be building also a convention center or events type center, so we can host events here as well. So that's oncoming. How are we improving our services? And so we are spending an enormous amount of time and effort to bring a lot of our services to the cloud and online. So a lot of these paper services that you're familiar with, we are trying to make them a lot easier for you, so you don't have to take time off of work to come up here to get a permit, to get a business license, to see the status of getting your permit. We've moved development services to the cloud. We have a portal on that. That's in operation. We also I'll say we're going to improve our county website. That we hope to do within the next year. That needs a lot of work. There's a lot more services that we can do online, but this middle one is the one I'm excited about, which we're working with some vendors right now to find the best solution. And that's a 311 service. So in its simplest form, you pick up your phone, you dial 311. And if it's during business hours, someone at the county will pick it up. And regardless of what the issue is, right? Non-emergency issues, dead animal on the side of the road, a pothole, litter on the side of the road, code violation that you're seeing, whatever it is, you can call this number and report it. It will then open a ticket that you can check the status of it if you provide your contact information. That's the simplest. I mean, that's the kind of run-of-the-mill, the way they've normally done it. But we will also have a web portal that you can log in and put this information in there, put your map location. But I think really the key one is the app that's going to be on your phone, where you can just basically click the app, put where it happened on the map. It'll already have your email. You submit it. It'll open a ticket. And not only will we get it, we'll respond to you when we've completed it or closed it out, so that you know where it is. We hope to get awarded a vendor over the summer, and we don't think it's going to take that long actually to get it into implementation. So next slide. For now, and you don't have to write this down, we've printed them out over here. For now, if you've got any of those reports, if they forget to pick up your trash on the side of the road, public works problem, water billing problem, the information on who to contact is right there on that piece of paper. Commissioner DeLoach brought this up earlier. We've been very successful in the last 3 years to applying for grants, and this is everything from, I will say it's been predominantly water and sewer, because that's where the federal government and the state government, those are the programs that they've been offering funds on, but we've also been able to get grants associated with our animal shelter. We are coming up with a master plans for our stormwater, which we got a grant to finish that off. And a master plan for public safety and bike trails as well, which we got a federal grant for. But that total is And it's not a surprise because the commissioner ruined it and told you in advance, but it's $54 million, and we're very proud of that. And just to put that number in perspective, our entire budget is not $54 million in a year. So it is a towering amount of money, and it's money that we do not have to collect from the taxpayers to put this infrastructure in place. Next one, and this is and I'm going to kind of give you an example. This is something also that Commissioner Deloach mentioned. And one thing we're constantly hearing is, why isn't industry paying its fair share? There's this misnomer out there that all these warehouses are going in, they're all getting some sort of tax abatement. Very few of them are had gotten any tax abatements. And the few that did, and not by us, it's by the Industrial Development Authority, but we have no control over it. But the few that did, those will wind down within the next 5 years. They will all disappear. And so of those, and so this is why you need industry. And I'm going to use the school district as an example. So the school district has a budget, $156 million. A third of that is what they need to collect in property taxes in order to fund that. So they need $51 million in property tax in order to provide the same level of service that you're used to in our schools, which is a very high level of service. We have 22,000 houses, residences in the county, and the school district charges roughly 15 mills. And so if this 51 million, we were going to rely solely on houses to fund that 51 million, we'd have to collect just in school taxes $2,300 per residence, or $385, or your house would have to be taxable valued at $385,000. We're nowhere near that, right? So the average taxable value for a home is $213,000 in this county. And that's because a lot of you who've been in your houses for a while are protected by the Carter-Burns exemptions and the homestead exemptions. So with that value of homes and 22,000 homes, it leaves us $20 million short, and we have to come up with that money somewhere else. And the school board and the Board of Commissioners does not like to raise millage rates. And so you fix that, you plug that hole by having a more balanced digest, by increasing the number of commercial businesses in this county and industrial businesses. And so by doing that, the school board, just in the new industry that's been in the last 4 years, has collected more than $6.6 million in revenue, and the county $3.5 million in revenue. If we were to try and collect that just on homes, we would need 5,100 homes built to collect that same amount of money. And those homes require substantially more services than these industrial properties, because obviously those homes bring kids that we have to pay for their education. And Commissioner Deloach mentioned as well that we also, and we're going to show a map in a second here. Can you bring that map up? So this is the what we call our future land use map. And you won't really be able to see it in detail. I think if you hit Control L, yeah, okay. So, but the point I want to bring out on this map is these purple areas, right? They're areas that are designated for industrial, and the board does not like going outside of them to approve any industrial in the county. So that We try and keep those industrial areas very limited in the county. They've been getting a lot of activity, obviously, over the last 3 or 4 years, but we don't like to go out there. And what determines those locations are things like in I-16 down here is interstate access. Or this one by Blandford, it has dual rail access. The one, Old Augusta Road, is proximity to the port. And up here on the Savannah River, it's really your natural resources or the river, which is why you have Georgia Power and Georgia Pacific up there. But as for other areas in the the board intends on keeping these areas, keeping industry within those areas and not going beyond them. So the point is that industry is not scattershot all over the county. We do try and keep it in a tight location. And so if you go to the next slide, this is kind of where I'll just go over the projects that Commissioner Deloach mentioned that we're working on. But one thing, you're hearing a lot about plans, county not having plans. Well, you were right. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, there were not a lot of plans in the county. We spent a lot of time changing that. And since in the last 4 years alone, we have completed a facilities master plan, a park master plan, a solid waste master plan, a stormwater master plan, transportation master plan, and water and sewer master plan. Those are all completed. And right now, as Commissioner Deloach mentioned, we are in the process of our 5-year update on our comprehensive plan. And just because they're completed does not mean we put them on a shelf and let them collect dust. We review them to make sure the projects are coming in meets what the plans had recommended. And then we amend them periodically to make sure that they stay up to date as changes occur. So we've spent an enormous amount of time and effort creating them, and those are available online as well. Roads, this is the big one. And so, again, I don't know if this is all readable for you, but so the county is going to spend a good amount of time and effort in our major corridors, right? And Commissioner Deloach mentioned on a few of these roads, it's not simply just resurfacing them. They're not built to current GDOT road standards, meaning their individual lanes are usually too narrow, so we want to bring them to 12-foot lanes. We want to make sure there's adequate shoulder. We want to make sure that we have adequate right-of-way as well. So on our major roads, we are in the process of doing that. And the ones, obviously you all know about Effingham Parkway. That should be completed in September of next year. Goshen Road widening, that is not just a widening of the lanes, but that's also adding a third lane, a two-way left turn lane. I don't like when people call it the suicide lane, but that's what we're talking about for the entire stretch of it, because there are a lot of neighborhood and residential entrances on that road, and for safety and traffic flow, we're in the design of that right now. Low Ground Road, that's another perfect example. That's an ash road, but that is a road that will go all the way from McCall to Midland, and our hope is to go all the way eventually to 17, be a vehicular-only route, so that it will take some pressure off of Blue Jay. So that road's going to need quite a bit of right-of-way, and we've got to build that road essentially from scratch. That is one of the more expensive projects in the T-Splost, and I think we're just on the edge of awarding that design. Blue Jay road improvements will also add not two-way left, not a third lane all the way down it, but we will be adding it strategically where it's needed. getting adequate right-of-way. So we have 100 feet of right-of-way that goes down the entire stretch. Wider lanes, wider shoulders, thicker pavement, right? So that these roads hold up for much longer than they've been lasting in the past. And one of the things that we're doing on a lot of these roads is by getting this 100 feet of right-of-way, if at some point in the future we wanted to add a separated bike trail to the road, we'll have the right-of-way to do it. We may not have the funds to do it right now, but we can get the land to do it for the future. The other two roads we're doing that is McCall Road, Ron Station, and Hodgeville, but Hodgeville we just awarded. That should start paving, I believe, at the end of or the beginning of May. Okay, so those are the big roads, and this is how we're trying to handle a lot of the congestion problems. So what we're running into with congestion is you have your main roads, and then you have those connector roads that tie into them. And during rush hours, cars just can't get onto the main road, right? So we're spending a good amount of time, and we've done the test to make sure this is the best solution, where we're doing a lot of roundabouts. Roundabouts perform much better than traffic lights in essentially processing traffic and keeping traffic moving. So our first three roundabouts that we're working on right now are all on Hodgeville. They're Hodgeville and Collequelme, Hodgeville and Goshen, and then Hodgeville and Blue Jay. Simultaneously, when they build Effingham Parkway, which runs parallel to Hodgeville, there will be there'll be three roundabouts there as well. One on Goshen, one on a new road that will be connecting McCall and Hodgeville called Gateway Parkway, and then one on Blue Jay. And then in this area, in the new T-Splosh, which we haven't issued for design yet, we are looking at a roundabout because it was recommended in the transportation study at 119 and Little McCall. In addition to the ones that we're doing through the county, the state's also doing some roundabouts. So they're doing one on 17 in Marlow, on 17 in Jabez Jones, on 80 in Sand Hill, and 30 in Hodgeville. Of course, that last one is in Chatham County, but for all of you who commute to Chatham County every day, you know that one's critical for us. And so that one is already, they've already got a preliminary design, and it's they're wrapping that up right now, and hopefully they'll go into contract. This you can't really see, but if you can see these little dots that we have all over here, those are roundabouts, with the point of being that you'll be able to, through this, have a better flow of traffic, particularly during the morning and afternoon commutes. And I don't know if you can see this one, but this Commissioner Deloach mentioned this, and this is a critical intersection for the county. It is the 21 and McCall and Courthouse intersection. So as the Commissioner mentioned, the state did reach out and asked if the county would assist in the design of the left turn lanes that would support a traffic signal at 21 and McCall. Already with the last T-Splosh, we were in the process of designing moving the connection of Courthouse and McCall so it's not so close to 21 and McCall. So we moved it about a quarter of a mile down McCall, and so it'll turn right in. Right now we're trying to work with the this mobile home park that's being redeveloped right now. so that it'll turn right in. This is Courthouse. It'll turn right into there to a roundabout on McCall, and then so that way the folks on Courthouse will not back up like they do traditionally during rush hour. So we are currently in final design on this, and we're hoping to do it all at once, so that we can get the traffic light and the new McCall Courthouse connection done, hopefully within the next year. Now I'm going to read these out. So Commissioner Deloach mentioned the amount of roads that were approved for District 3 in T-Splost. Some of these are some of the longest roads in all of T-Splost. These are all available if you go to the county website, which is www.effinghamcounty.org. You'll see a link that says T-Splost on it. Hit that and it'll open up a map and it'll show you every single road project related to T-Splost that we have going on. You just kind of click on the one that concerns you. It'll tell you all the details on it. But for District 3, we've got Berryville Road. We have Chester Thomas there, but we've got to work with residents on getting right-of-way on that one. We've got Cypress Point Road, 4th Street, the Hunters Chase neighborhood. We've got Linton Lane, Lower Ferry Road, Old Dixie Highway, Old Louisville Road, not all of it, obviously, but up to, I'm trying to remember the cross street, but just outside of Guyton. Pitts Road, Springfield Egypt Road, that one's going to take a lot of work because of drainage and it's very long. Stillwell Clio Road, and that will basically nearly the entire stretch from Long Bridge to Clio. Tuckasee King, Union Springs, and Wallace Drive. And so that's a lot of roads. And some of these roads that are not complicated, that are more of a resurfacing, don't require right-of-way. We will hope to get done within the next year. If it does require additional right-of-way or some drainage improvements like Springfield Egypt, they may take a little bit longer, but we're committed to get them done as quickly as we can. The board did approve us and it was part of the referendum, to borrow the funds up front for T-Splost, so we don't have to wait for them to come in to start these roads. We can get them done as soon as the designs are completed. Next one. And Commissioner Deloach mentioned this as well, and it's really important, and I don't expect you to see this, but if you look at this right here, every road that we had was scanned and graded. That all gets put into a spreadsheet, and based on the road itself, whether it's a connector road or an arterial road or just simply a neighborhood road, it's given a score on a priority for the county to do it. The board wanted to do this to really, every time a road gets done, someone says, why didn't my road get done first? And everybody thinks that it's all politics that makes a decision on which roads get repaved. And so we wanted to put some data behind it, and that's why we created this. The goal is to get everything to good, right? We are making progress. Matter of fact, we're going to go through another pass at the end of next year to get a new map that has all of the repavings that we've done. Next slide. Facilities, and since the county seat is basically shared with District 3 and 4, a lot of these facilities affect you. We'll show some pictures on it so you don't have to read here, but just know a lot of the facilities are related to public safety. There's a lot of EMS stations, a lot of fire stations. We're working with the Sheriff's Office to design a training facility for the sheriff, and as well as moving the magistrate court closer to the jail. And then there's a lot of some parks and administrative ones, which I'll go over really quickly. This is a station. This is kind of the model station that we're going to be using throughout the county as we build new fire and EMS stations. This is the one that we built in Guyton. Next. And this is the Clarence Morgan Gymnasium. This center part right here is what exists right now. It was built to be expanded. So wings will be added on both sides. The wing on this side, this is the playground over here. That will be we'll be moving our recreation offices over there, and we will have a couple of multi-purpose rooms that can be rented for birthday parties, as well as an outdoor covered area that can be rented for birthday parties as well. So that's on the recreation side. On the other side of the building is something completely different. The building itself has a lot, it's one of our most recent buildings. It's a very sturdy building, and it has a lot of features in it, like showers and a commercial kitchen and outdoor parking that made sense for us to put our emergency operations center and emergency management agency offices as a wing of this building, and so we did not have to build all of those facilities again. We can use the existing facilities. This front area is the offices. This center area is the emergency operations center. When this is activated during a storm, you will have folks not just from the county, but all the municipalities and the school district in there as well. And the current facility we have now at a courthouse is just too small. And so that we've already been awarded, and we should start construction on it next month. This is the administration building. Many of you know we bought the Renaissance Bank, which I believe was a Citizens Bank. But the bank did lease back the property for us for 3 years. On one floor. They've since vacated it and moved to downtown Springfield. And so it's going to allow us to actually move the tax commissioner and tax assessor into that building so that you really truly have a one-stop shop for all your needs administratively for the county. So whether you want to pay taxes, get a vehicle tag, talk to the assessor, get a business license, pay your water bill, get a septic tank permit. All of that will be in one facility finally and not spread out in 6 different locations throughout Springfield. That's under construction right now, and we're doubling the size of the parking lot. This one, and Dr. Goldwire's here, and he'll be happy that we're making progress on this. This is the old Central High School and Early Learning Center. And so at some point, the county took possession of this property. When we were looking for places that the county needs to expand for office space, we realized that building new is just simply too expensive nowadays. And we began to look at what space do we have under roof that we could renovate and what shape is it in. Well, we went to have this examined, and when they build these schools, they build them like tanks, and the roof even still had a warranty on it. And so our first phase, obviously the gym will be open. We're doing a minor update on the bathroom, on the restrooms in the gymnasium, and putting a new entrance there. This is all paved parking. This is that Wallace Drive? Yeah, that's Wallace Drive. And so you'll be able to pull right off here. This orange building, this set of classrooms right here is going to be for election equipment storage and the early voting center for the county. So if you've ever done early voting on 119, you know it's not necessarily the greatest environment for it. There's inadequate parking, and if you've got to park, sometimes you park on 119 or cross the street and climb up a hill. It's just not a good experience for the residents. So we've set it up so early voting is here. You have completely adequate parking. And because of the shed roofing right outside the entrances of the classrooms, you'll actually be covered from the weather as you're queuing up to vote. This area back here will be the voting and registration office, as well as the counting room. This area right here, the county needs a central area for records retention and storage, and this is our facilities and maintenance department. Whether we can afford this in phase one or not, we'll have to wait till we get the numbers back. But the cafeteria area, the old principal's office, and teacher lounge, and I think this used to be the media room. But those areas, we hope to open up for community use. And kind of an events facility in the cafeteria area. It'll be about a 2,500 square foot facility. It does still have a commercial kitchen and a prep area that can be used from everything from small weddings to parties, you name it, family reunions. This will be where the principal's office, we're keeping the footprint of the principal's office there, but where the teacher's lounge are, we're going to do a community room where communities can have meetings. This is kind of unique where this was the, as many of you know, this was the original segregated high school in Effingham County. And so there's a history lesson there. And these, because of when they were built in the 60s, they're being torn down all over the South. So they're all built at the same time. And so the architecture is very unique. We're going to bring it back to its original kind of original design architecture with the windows. And the hope is to have a museum prototype classroom set up. We'd have to work with the school district on it and work with the Alumni Association to get that set up. So when folks learn that lesson in high school through history, they can, essentially come out and, learn where it took place in your community and all the success that the alumni have enjoyed as a result of this school as well. So the next one, you can't see this, but this is the, I really am showing you this. This is the new wastewater treatment plant we're building, because I know a lot of folks in Guyton and Springfield, it's a big concern with water, particularly with sewer and capacity in those areas. The county, through the support of the legislature, was blessed to really get nearly all of this funded through a grant from the state. This will increase our capacity by 2 million gallons. So we've been working with the city of Springfield and the city of Guyton to tie into their systems so that they can have access and capacity to this plant as well. And so right now we're in a feasibility study, but if we're able to get this done, I think it'll solve both of those cities' current capacity problems. I know both cities really had to shut off any sort of new permit approvals or new sewer applications because of the current condition that they're in. That is on Low Ground Road, where our current plant is. It's right next to it. Other facilities on where the library is, the old annex or the Effingham Academy campus, our hope is to kind of convert that into more of a health and human services campus for the county with the current services that we offer there through our third-party partners, which is like Family Connection and Ready to Connect, Victim Witness Services, Action Pact, and the rest of them. But also expand that and use a bulk of that facility to get a fully renovated space for DFACs. And then our hope and while this part's not funded, our hope is to then take, when we move the recreation offices over to Clarence Morgan Park, we think it would be appropriate to use the former recreation office to help expand the Effingham Navigators program, the special needs program with regards to sports. We will be, if you've ever had to do jury duty, you know there's inadequate parking. We're expanding parking at the judicial complex, and we also will be fully renovating and expanding the animal shelter. That was part of SPLOST. Parks, and this is where I finish up. This is the fun part. Basically, this should tell you that every single park that we're doing, the board decided they want to get it up to the level of the Clarence Morgan Park, right? That higher quality. So the first one we did outside of Clarence Morgan was the McCall Park outside Rincon. And now we want to go back to all the parks that we have in the system with the new SPLOST and renovate them to bring them up to an equal standard. First one in District 3 would be the Clio Community Center and the Clio Community Park. And what we're really doing here is taking what we have and just fully renovating it. Brand new, paved parking is a key one. Resurfacing the basketball court. We are bringing the lights. It has a great light system, but we're going to bring them up to the current system that we have throughout the county, the Musco system. And the unique thing that we're doing here, and Commissioner Deloach mentioned it, is we brought fiber to this park, and there's not fiber optics or broadband available in this corner of the county. And so our goal is to take the back portion of that building where the stage is, renovate the front for the event facility in the kitchen, so on and so forth, but take that back area where the stage is, give it a separate entrance out here on the side, so that it can be used as a media room, so that folks who don't have access to high-speed broadband simply because it's not available, can go there off hours, do their homework, or do whatever they need to gain access to the internet on. So that's the Clio, that's on Fair Street. This is Pinora, and so Pinora is just going to get a lot of love on all of its facilities, its bathrooms, its dugouts. We're going to build an additional bathroom. We're going to again do paved parking. We're going to upgrade the lighting on all the baseball fields. We've spent a lot of time and effort rebuilding the turf on those fields already. So our hope is that this will look like the same quality as what you see at Clarence Morgan, as well as this area is back here. We will have walking trails throughout, but you will also have a disc golf course, because that's one of the things that people have been asking for, and so we're going to try it out here. That's around the perimeter. Frisbee golf. This is Baker Park. This one's probably the closest to going out to contract. We're just working out an issue with a neighboring property. As you may know that the tennis courts have already been resurfaced, but again, all the restrooms will be renovated. You will basically come in here and then be able to get all the way back here in a parking lot, because there'll be a dog park back here that ties you into the trail, and that's where up top there is where the pickleball courts will be, and again upgraded playground as well, and a boat launch somewhere. I think it's right around here for paddle boats. We still have the one down in the corner on Courthouse, but just one for if you've got a paddle board or something you want to use it in there. This is the old Effingham Academy on 119. This will, again, you will see the concession stand, the restrooms all fully renovated, the batting cage is renovated. We'll be rebuilding that that old football field, returfing it, and paved parking, which is the key one. It's kind of disorganized when it comes to parking there, so we're going to be fixing that. Maybe not in phase 1, but phase 2, as I mentioned earlier, is if we have the navigators, their kind of facility and programming located in the old recreation offices. The hope is right outside that we can then put a fully accessible playground, a very large accessible playground that the special needs kids can enjoy. This is Clarence Morgan. The kind of faded area is what exists already. And so this is the master plan on what would be a full build out. We're not going to be able to afford to do all of this in phase 2. But one thing that we will certainly be building is the multi-purpose fields down here. I think we're planning on having 2 of them be artificial turf. And we hope to have a dog park that could be accessed in there as well as this is the gymnasium up here, and so there'll be a side parking lot there, and then a splash pad. We're going to try and see the feasibility of getting a splash pad in there for the kids in close proximity to the playground. And one other thing that's kind of interesting here is we've got a large pavilion we put aside there. Our thought was because of the parking availability, was to work with the city of Springfield to see if there's interest in doing a farmer's market there as well. And I've got 2 more slides, or 2 more facilities to show. In the T-Splost, the only non-road project we put in there, besides some drainage stuff, was a bike and pedestrian trail that we called the Trutland Trail. And if you know, obviously you all know where the Guyton Trail is in downtown Guyton. That's all the former Georgia Central rail line. It's now owned by Georgia Power. And so we've been working with Georgia Power to see if we can get an access easement for that to build a bike trail. It's really uniquely located, related to a lot of those parks that I just mentioned. So you can come from downtown Guyton, have a separated trail that that the first stop would be Pinora Park. It's right adjacent to it. You can then access the Honey Ridge Agri Center there by the school district. Then you go down the trail a little longer. Next stop will be the Sand Hill Recreation Complex when that gets fully renovated. And then it goes to what potentially would be the last stop, which is what we're already in design on, which is the it's called the Atlas Community. It's not going to be called the Atlas Community Park. We're going to come up with a better name for it, but that's just the name of the property when we bought it. But it is about a 150-acre lake. That is a man-made lake because it's a former surface mine. But the water is pristine, and this is, and it's got a good location. This is 80. This is the Ogeechee River right here, and that's Sand Hill. Our goal is to have the entrance right off of Sand Hill, and then we've got a large kind of recreation area that we can actually build upon in addition to water access. So we hope to have a boat launch there, plenty of walking trails, and playgrounds, fields for having picnics. We can have festivals there. But the idea is to give folks access to this lake. And our goal is probably electric motors, max on this, or paddle boats. But this area up here is kind of a separate impounded area, and you'll see on the picture the water is a little clearer up there. Our thought was to look at having some sort of beach access or create a swimming hole there as well for folks. So a more detailed of this area is on the next slide. And that just shows it comes in here. You have parking, playground, pavilion, lots of walking trails, and right up against the water, we're going to have a small amphitheater so that if we have events, we'll have place for folks to put on a performance. We have an overhead shot of this on the next slide, which is right there. And that land piece is right there, and Hyundai is over there. And I will wrap this up before we take questions with a small little video that we hired Rail Yard Media in Springfield to do a little drone video, and it actually came out great. That's the swimming area. See, it's more turquoise there. And that's Hyundai right there, the meta plant they're building. But thank you all, and I think we've asked for questions, but we didn't get any, so we can actually take